the universe is energetic. And instead of going into our heads and trying to mentally figure out how we're going to get there, it can be as simple as getting clear on what you value, what energies do you desire in your life, and choosing them actually in the present day and building each day in that way upon itself. Welcome to the Shift Your Vibe to Thrive podcast. My name is Emily Evans Russell, and I'm a single mom, multiple six-figure business owner, and master mindset and energy coach. I created this podcast with two main targets. One, to give you practical tools so that no matter where you are in your life right now, you not only know that things can shift, but you know how to make them greater. And two, to change your frequency so that you become an energetic match for everything you desire. I'm talking your relationships, your finances, your success, all of it. Think of this podcast as your weekly energetic upgrade with a mix of subconscious mind hacks, ways to quantum leap, and consciousness shifts. A place where you learn to sculpt your reality and actually finally truly have the magical life you deserve and one that works for uniquely you. Are you ready to uplevel your reality? I think I hear yes, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for being here. And now let's go to the show. So did you ever do experiments as a kid or make potions? Or maybe you got given one of those chemistry sets or even just in science class. And when I was little, I used to love making potions. I would go into my mom's spice cabinet and get all of the spice bottles and then go into our deep, deep bathroom cabinet that had all sorts of weird lotions and salves and toothpaste and everything else. And I used to make potion after potion, like mixing this with that and then stacking them in little bottles, which I later discovered at the back of my closet when I was in my 20s. So they had been in there for 15 years. But why I'm sharing this, to see, have you ever just played with something? When I used to mix things, there wasn't a result in mind. It was just fun. It was fun to experiment. And you may know this about me too. I'm a bit of a science geek. So chemistry was one of my favorite classes. And I just loved this idea of, okay, we're here to take one ingredient and another and just see what happens. So I recently, earlier this year, really looked at the next year of my life as, would I be willing to just do this as an experiment? And funny enough, my daughter did the same thing. So what happened? Basically, earlier in the year, I left my job of 10 years. And so with that, I didn't know exactly, was clear on what direction I wanted to go, meaning I looked at, okay, what do I value in my life? What are my priorities? And what would be an outcome, like a measure of I'm really happy, I'm really fulfilled, And when I did that, there were a lot of different categories. And I looked at, okay, my friendships, I'd love to make new friends and really nurture old friends, reconnect with people I've maybe lost touch with. I'd love to travel. That's always been a huge priority of mine for experiencing new people, new places, that joy of getting on a plane. And really, because I was leaving a job, there were things I was very much looking for in how my days worked. And I didn't want to be on a computer 10 hours a day or answering hundreds of messages or emails and stuck to my phone. I wanted to be able to enjoy all the parts of my life. And I'm also really fulfilled by work and creation. So I looked at how many hours a day would be fun for me to work. And what else would I like to include in those hours? I also am a lifelong learner. I love learning new things, studying new things, taking courses. I love having conversations with people, friends. All of that. I love doing yoga. I love spending time in some way moving my body, even if that's just walking my dog or doing a few stretches on a yoga mat or actually taking a class or going dancing. And so with this change, I looked at, okay, this is a great time to just experiment. And before I did that, one of the things I looked at is, okay, what's the worst possible scenario that could come of if I just took a year and really went all in on how I would like my days to be, because you string a day together and another day and another day, and like, what would I like my life to look like? And all of those buckets, like, how can I be fulfilled in all of those? What would that look like on a daily basis? And because I had had a job and I also have always had my own business, I really wanted to give the business on its own a shot, meaning I want to go all in on creating my stuff and getting to serve people in a way that fulfills me, where I know I'm like making a difference for people. And would it be easy to go out and find another job? Yeah. But this is something that has been in my heart for so long. I really wanted to like go, okay, could I give myself a year? And what's the worst thing that could happen in a year? And I had a friend ask me some questions about that. I was like, okay, so you're a few months in and nothing's happening in your business. Like, you're not creating any revenue or money. What do you do then? And I was like, okay, what do I do then? And then I came up with an idea of what I would do then. And she's like, okay, go another few months. Still nothing is working. What do you do then? And as we walked through these scenarios, we kept going down and like, really? Still now? But what that did was our unconscious is always playing out the worst case scenario in the back of our minds, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, which keeps us from taking risks, from actually going after the dreams that we desire. And when we played that game and kept looking at, okay, and then what, and then what, and then what, at the end of the day, I realized, you know what? I'm going to be fine. Even if that means like I have my daughters, I have my dog. Even if I lost everything, you know what? I'm actually going to be fine. And there was a peace in that, knowing, okay, would I be willing to give myself then a year for the other question we don't often ask, like, what's the greatest possible outcome of this experiment? And that was exciting, because it was like, well, I'd actually have days and months where I have time to be with friends and time to nurture my relationships and be a mom and walk outside and go on vacation and also create retreats for people and get to serve clients and create programs online and in person and everything. Like, I get to fill all of those buckets and not be exhausted or burn out or kind of manically creating, always trying to keep up. And so with that, I really looked, okay, am I willing to go all in for a year, just a year, knowing that I can handle, quote, the worst case scenario, I'm going to be fine. And also, what else is possible? Like the greatest possible outcome or anywhere in between. And that for me was so worth just going, okay, I'm willing to play, right? At it, and knowing that a lot of times you don't see any result or outcome. You've got to be willing to plant the seeds and wait and wait and wait for them to grow. And I don't know how long that will be for you if you're interested in, hey, I'm willing to just experiment for a while and actually go after that thing the way I really desire to live my life, that job I really want to have, the travel I wanted to do, whatever that is for you. And I knew, okay, there's going to be times, it's like we have cycles and seasons where a lot of what I wanted to build and create, there was going to be a lot of planting of the seeds. And then knowing that if I keep believing and knowing that those will eventually grow, I don't know what that plant will look like, but I know I'm putting my energy where it feels good and with what feels aligned and knowing the direction I'm going, and then just keep moving in that direction. Because the really, I heard a quote, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's the idea of what's the difference between someone that has what we see as success and someone who doesn't. And it's not that they didn't fail. It's not that they didn't have long periods of time, probably. I mean, there's always overnight success, but periods of time where things seem like they weren't working and things get hard. But it's that ability and trusting ourselves and just going, you know what? I'm going to keep going and give yourself, like I gave myself a year. So I'm still in that year time frame, right? I'm still in this experiment. But so much of it has been this trust that, okay, if I am clear on where I'm going, what I value. I don't know exactly, you're never going to know exactly what it's going to look like, right? We don't know that. But when I looked at, okay, what's just one of the many greatest possible outcomes? What are some of the worst? Okay. Do I have trust in myself that I'll just keep going for a year? Can I invest that in myself? And we look at, okay, are we willing to invest that year or longer or shorter? Play with, what works for you to take that risk on yourself. And it's not even a risk. It's like having faith in yourself of, okay, I'll try this. And for me, that also the idea of experimenting took off a lot of the pressure. Because if I made a goal of I need to be here in a year, that's a lot of pressure we put on ourselves, right? And it was more like I'm willing to go in this direction and get clear on what I'm asking for. And there's a lot of growth and stuff that comes up on the way. But would I be willing to not give up on myself just for a year? Because when we give up, there's no benefit to that except going, shit, like I gave up. That didn't happen. But what if we kept going? So let's see. This was about 6 months ago. So I'm about halfway through the experiment. At the same time, when I was leaving my job, my daughter was really excited about going to a new school next year for middle school. And where I live, you apply for schools, and all of her friends got into the one school where she really wanted to go. And she didn't get in. And you can imagine at that age, she was really quite devastated. She just wanted to go there. Plus all of her friends were going there. Plus her sister goes there. And I immediately, we had a talk, and we were cuddled up in bed one night. And I said, hey, would you be willing to look at this next year as an experiment? You don't have to love this different school you're going to go to, but would you be willing to just give it a try for a year? And knowing we're not stuck anywhere, right? Would you be willing just to experiment and be open to what comes this year? And then we can look again. And if you don't like where you're at that school, we can go somewhere different. We can apply somewhere else. We can do something. But would you be willing to do it as an experiment? And she said, yeah. And it was amazing the ease that, she was upset for a few days, but quickly was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And here's one of the other things I chatted about with her and also reminded myself of is once we've been somewhere in life. So she was at a school. She had changed schools 2 years before that. And when she changed schools that time, she made all new friends and made wonderful, loved the school, loved her new friends. And I said, hey, you actually already know how to do this. You know how to be the expander in your group. You know how to meet new people. You're great at making friends. You learn new study habits. You learn how new schools work. We actually can't lose what we've already created. We might temporarily, it might be hard to make friends at the new school at first, but once we energetically imprint on, okay, you know how to do that basically. She knows how to do that, right? Wherever you're at, if you're at a certain amount of, okay, my business makes $50,000 a year, but I really want to go for it and invest in different ways. And I'd love to go all in and maybe have my business make, I don't know, choose a number. And if you're willing to experiment, you actually already know you have the energy of what it takes to make $50K in your business, right? So you might invest in something and you might fall flat and you might lose money, but you know how to get back there. And so when I was talking with my daughter, I was like, okay, you do know how to do this, to start a new school, to make new friends. And would we be willing to just have an experiment for this year and see what shows up? And it's so beautiful. So she's a few months into the school year. And before, I think it was the welcome night before school even started, she had a couple girls she met that day, maybe a week before at a preschool event sort of thing. And we had an overnight and they were just playing, having fun. We're now a few months into the year and she has this great group of new friends and then is still hanging out and having her friends from the other school for overnights and coming over. And she gets to expand this group of people. And she's so nurtured and happy because before we started the school year, so she was like, okay, but I'm just going to do a year. And then I want to go and I want to, I want to apply again to where I wanted to go. And let me tell you, since the year has started, I haven't even heard that conversation because she went all in on the experiment. And so it's the universe when it seems like it's giving us something that's really hard, because that was not easy for her. It's not easy for me to leave a job that was really fulfilling for so long. But I knew there was something in me. I'm like, there's just a different path for me right now. And would I be willing to leave what's comfortable, to leave what's secure, to leave a lot of what I know, to really go after something different that just feels good? And so with that, there's this leap of faith that we can take and just explore and trust, okay, I'm just going to do this for a year. And with her thinking that this school, she wasn't going to like it. And it seemed like, quote, a bad thing at first. And the school she's at now, the way they teach, the community they build, all of that is such a match for her. Like, it's such a match for her. And in the moment when we have things show up that we don't want or we don't like, it can be difficult in the moment. But when we zoom out and go, okay, but in a few months from now, like if I'm willing to keep experimenting and this disappointment happened, or this job loss, or this change in relationship, and trust that when that happens, it's often just a nudge in a new direction that may be even greater. And we don't know. There is this leap. But if we have trust in ourselves, like I mentioned, and also you're willing to follow the energy of what feels light for you, what nourishes you, what fulfills you, and go in that direction, it starts with the energy. So in my experiment, I actually today, just even before recording this, I woke up this morning and I like to spend now like 15 minutes just in silence, meditating when I first wake up. It's kind of that great start into the morning. I just sit up in bed, leave the lights off, and I meditate for 15 minutes. And with that silence, it gives me puts me in a receptive state to really receive information and feel creative and clear out the cobwebs and the junk and the thoughts that, even we wake up with, right? First thing. And then I had a Zoom date with a friend, and it was a new friend that I've made in the last year. And again, that was part of what I asked for, right? I would like to have time to just have a chat with a friend. So started the day like that, and then took my dog for a walk. And on the walk, beautiful fall day, ran into a neighbor that I haven't really talked with much, and he was walking his dog. And we ended up having, like I said, I'll keep walking with you a bit, a great conversation. And I learned that he's been meditating for like 12 years. And so we had this beautiful talk, and I wasn't rushed to come back inside or get on another meeting, which was a lot of my life before. And that's really what I desired to change. I don't always want to be in a rush or feel like I don't have time for the other things that really nurture me, not just creating and work. And so I came back inside, and then I had a couple of calls today for one of my programs. And it's one of those things that's very, I want to use that phrase, dear to my heart, but like when you create something, you're so excited to work with people, at least in my profession, as a coach. And I was really looking forward to having those 2 calls. And so I got to have those calls today, and in between take time to recenter a bit, do a little breath work, get ready for the next group of people. And they were beautiful interactions and sessions and conversations. And then after that, I had some learning I wanted to do. I'm finishing up my breathwork facilitator training. So I did some work there, met with another partner in that program. We did a practice together. And then I had time to cook, and I made myself dinner. Went for another walk outside. And then I had this moment of, wow, what I've asked for in this experiment, I just experienced a day like that. So those seeds that I've been planting of going, okay, if I know that energy of calm, the energy of having time for the things I love, getting to fill a lot of buckets in the day, like chatting with a friend, being out in nature, moving my body, getting to create and work, and getting to work with clients, and getting to cook. And all of that was in one day. And that was something I was really clear on, that I wanted to to create in this year. So I'm still mid-experiment, and there are still many seeds that I've planted that I haven't yet, maybe seen pop through the ground, but everything has its own cycle. And I just wanted to share this kind of idea of giving yourself the permission to play and to experiment when we're going after something we really desire, and not letting that idea of a worst case scenario stop us, but go, okay, that can I handle that? And will I be okay? And also, what is there to gain in just going for it and being willing to play and add things here and subtract things there and just see, okay, what's the outcome there? What does that create? And you get to keep playing, and you get to keep experimenting for the whole year, or for the whole 1 month, or for the whole 2 years, whatever it is. It's about having that like commitment to yourself and the integrity to not give up on yourself and go, okay, I've committed to this year, and I'm going to keep going, because I'm not exempt from having doubt. I'm not exempt from having days where things suck and it's hard. And that is part of what our mind does. It's how we've been, encultured here to stop, to not believe in ourselves, not think we're worth it, whatever that voice in your head is saying. And to instead hear that and say, hey, that's just a voice. That's my subconscious basically wanting to keep us from something that's different, something that is not known yet, right? If you're going after something new and it's new, your brain doesn't know that. And it goes, you know what? I know what's safe and comfortable over here. You sure you don't want to stay here? But there comes a time, and whenever that is for you, where, for me, I knew I wasn't fulfilled and I was getting frustrated, and I'm not a person who's normally frustrated or unhappy. And I thought, you know what? This is not an energy I want to live with. So am I willing to make a big change and invest a year in myself and be willing to know that there will be times when I have doubt and times where things are hard, but that simplicity of like everything in the universe is energy. And we often think, okay, well, when I have more time, then I'll go after that dream. Or when I have more money, then I'll invest in this new part of my business. Or that game of when this happens, then I'll do it. But if you look at the energetics first, and what's the energy you would like in your life? And if I was having like frustration, my daughter had disappointment, right? Doubt, all of that. And it was the choice to go, okay, here are the energies I would like in my life. I'd like more peace, more ability to like calmly create connections, travel, like those things I mentioned. And I really did get a sense of energetically what would that day feel like if I woke up not in a rush and not checking my phone and having space for all those things and prioritizing them. When we choose the energy first, with that, it's basically like we're choosing a different energetic identity in a way. Like I am this, I'm being this. And when you be something and you choose to prioritize that energy, and that's like, this is what I'm having, then the actions, the doing follows that energy. And then the having the thing, whatever that is, comes after that. And we can get so impatient and doubt ourselves when the having, whatever we're asking for, hasn't shown up. But the universe is energetic. And instead of going into our heads and trying to mentally figure out how we're going to get there, it can be as simple as getting clear on what you value, what energies do you desire in your life, and choosing them actually in the present day and building each day in that way upon itself so that it's there in the future. Because if we say, for example, want to finally get somewhere where we're more relaxed and have more time to, I don't know, do the things you'd like to do, but we're willing to stress ourselves out and work to the bone and sacrifice people or relationships that mean a lot, well, we're basically energetically telling the universe, this is okay. This is what I'm choosing. And so how can we expect that to be in the future when that's what we're choosing today? So when we start to shift the energies we're choosing in our life, the activities we're prioritizing, but just the energy shifts what we do choose to do, the actions we take. which then creates the having. It's like it's reverse of how a lot of us think about things. And so I am mid-year, and I will tell you it's going great so far. And like I said, there's a lot of things that, yeah, I'm not there yet. And, I'm never there. I know it's always a constant journey of kind of going, okay, what would I like in my life? But I'm willing to keep going. And, and my daughter is too. She's still in the middle of the year right now. It's wonderful, and we'll see. But we're willing to experiment and not give up and going in this direction that may be different than we planned. But there have been many gifts along the way. Some of the first clues, or I like to call them breadcrumbs, that the universe, God gives you on the way, whatever you like to call those signs or those breadcrumbs, is, I remember really asking for, okay, how can I meet new people? And I had some just brilliant new friends come into my life from choices I made, like attending different events or finding different, like kind of getting out of the box I was in and expanding my circle and my horizons even more. And from that, like, found some wonderful new people. And I was like, oh yeah, this is what I've been asking for. It's like, hey, here, you're moving in this direction here. So it's not like there's been a landslide of everything all at once. Like today I had one of those days where I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. I'm so lucky to have created this, and it could keep getting greater, right? And I've had days like that along the way. I've noticed, oh, I have a lot more calmness. My nervous system is a lot more calm when I handle money. I just know I'm supported in a different way. Like it's an energetic change. And so I notice those breadcrumbs and those clues to keep reminding myself and having that just ultimate sense of, I know this is coming. If I'm willing to go all in on me and not give up, I know this is coming. And that energy is one of the most magnetic energies there is to keep pulling in what you're asking for. It's when we give up, it's when we go to doubt, or we let that voice in our heads of, maybe it's better to go back here. Nah, you're not going to really do it. Let's go with the safe route. And then we stay in what might be like we get acknowledged for. Maybe we're really good at that job. Maybe we're really, things look pretty good about staying in this house or this relationship. But if there's something inside you like that, there's more. There's something more I would like. What if you played with an experiment of going all in on that? And if anything, that level of I'm going to choose this for a year and not give up on me, if anything, it'll give you a trust in you that you're willing to make a commitment to yourself and have that integrity to keep it and just see. And we don't know what the results are going to be, but I'd love to hear how they go for you. If you choose to do an experiment of, okay, I'm just going to have this belief and this knowing that the universe has my back. And if I just keep going in this direction, I'm going to keep believing it, because that energy of, I know that's coming is like I said, it's magnetic. It's not giving into the doubt. It's not just pulling up your chips and going, never mind, I fold. Like, I'm out. And you get to choose the time frame. So maybe you just want to play with it for a week or a month. But whatever that is, would you be willing to gift yourself just a little bit of time to play and not worry so much about if it has to work out in X, Y, or Z way, but hey, you're willing to invest that time and energy and that experimentation into going after your dreams, into what will truly fulfill you. And that, I think, at least for me, has been worth it alone. And it's been beautiful to see what's unfolding with my daughter, and I'll continue to, and see how one of the other things that my relationship with the girls has changed in just going all in. So that is my year experiment, still underway. I'll have to do another podcast in 6 months when I actually hit the year mark to give an update. But I hope this contributes to you. So, ask, would this be fun for you to do an experiment in whatever way? It might just be in one little tiny area. Like it might be just with a job, or it might be just with a relationship, or just with something that you do on the side, but you'd love to see if you went, more all in on it, what could show up. And then you choose. You choose if that's a yes for you. Choose when the time is right, that where you want to start that, how long you'd like to play with it. And then please DM me. Let me know if you do this, what shows up. And I will keep you guys posted too. I hope you got something out of that episode. If you like this podcast, please share it with someone you know who would find it useful or interesting, and subscribe so that you can listen to past and upcoming shows.